Welcome to South Florida Saltwater Fishing. I'm Heath and it's Tips and Tricks Thursday. Alright folks, in this Tips and Tricks episode, we are going to go over how to set up and rig up big game fishing rod and reel. Before we get into this though, if you want to learn more about fishing, grow as an angler, or just see some great and exciting offshore fishing adventures, you can start by hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss a thing. Alright folks, so like I said, we're going over how to set up and rig up big game fishing reel. What you got to understand is you don't want your reel to outclass your rod and vice versa. You don't want your rod to outclass your reel. You don't want it to be too light, you don't want it to be too heavy. You need shock absorbency of course. Yet there is class ratings, especially when you get up this big, you kind of want to pay attention. So what we've got here is a Penn International 30 spooled with 50-pound monofilament. This rod is a 5'6" bent butt rod from Coastal Fishing Equipment. Now this rod is in the 50 to 80 pound class. So we're paying attention to our monofilament weight class, which is 50, the rod's 50. So what we've got is a fairly close matchup for our rod weight class rating versus our reel. Alright, so we're going to get right into this. So in order to do this properly, you got to understand if you've got a left-handed or a right-handed reel. I know that this is a right-handed conventional reel, so when I have the reel facing away from me, my handle will be on the right. So to get this started, of course, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to seat the reel on the butt of the rod. So simply put it in there, and you spin the top retaining clasp, tighten it down, and then of course we're just going to tighten down on that with the first one. The second one, tighten it and locks it in place. So typically when you get conventional trolling reels, you have an item that looks like this. What this is the tether bracket. It also solidifies the mounting of your reel to the rod, but it's typically made with this little loop right here, so you hook your rod to your boat in case it gets pulled over, you don't lose the whole thing. So I'm going to show you how to put this on, and then we'll be done fastening our reel to our rod. So we've got our rod and our reel. Now this bracket always goes on the back. You've got these two studs. So if you're ever servicing it and you don't like it, you take these studs, they come out from the inside of the spool, but you should make it a good practice to use it. So you just simply put this on, and it comes with a couple of nuts to hold it on. And you just sort of hand tighten them to starting them, get it going. You will take the appropriate size wrench and just start tightening it down until it's tight. You don't want to over tighten it and bend this bracket, but yet you want it to be snug so that it's not going to come loose. Alright, there we have it. Our bracket is now fastened, it's not going anywhere. Now, depending upon the diameter of your rod is how far out your retaining nuts will stick, if they stick out at all. Alright, so far so good. We've got our reel on our rod. It's not going anywhere. Now the next thing we have to do is we have what can look like a complicated system of roller guides if you've never dealt with it before. So what I'm going to show you is, this is going to be your first guide. You've got two rollers, one on top, one on bottom. Your line is going to go right in between them, all the way up. Now this rod has all roller guides, so you're going to continually send it in between the two rollers. And when you get to the top, of course, you have another set of two rollers. You're going to go in between it and drag it out and down towards your rod. You don't ever want to go on top of it. You don't want to loop it around, and you definitely don't want to go underneath the bottom. Roller guides are meant to let your line roll out when a big fish hits and it's peeling out line. This reduces friction on the monofilament, thus helping to not compromise the integrity of your line. We've got these openings on our reel. You want to come out through this middle piece so that your line can essentially go straight out through the guides. You don't want to come underneath this one, and you don't want to come out back behind this one here. So what we'll do is we'll put the rod in free spool and we'll just pull out, you know, a good enough length to get all the way through all of the guides. Maybe even just a little bit more. Okay. We'll lock it up. Now the important part, like I told you, when we're going through our guides, we are going in between the two roller guides, just like this. We are below the top one and we are above the bottom one. And then the same thing all the way up. Below the top guide, above the bottom one. Same thing here. And for our last inline guide, good to go. Now we have our rod tip right here. We are going to go in between these two rollers. And that is how you thread your line on a roller guide rod. Alright. Now we'll just put the rod in free spool a little bit more so that we can go over how to fasten our terminal tackle and you know, get ready to put this thing to use. Alright, so this reel, the Penn International 30 TW, is spooled with 50-pound monofilament. At the end of it, I'm going to fasten on a 300-pound ball bearing swivel. Now, there's only one knot I like to use when I'm at 50-pound monofilament, and that is the double clinch knot. I don't like to use crimps. I feel the line diameter is too small at this point. Yet the diameter is too big to tie any other knot that I really trust. So I'm going to show you how I fasten on barrel swivel with the double clinch knot, and we can get this thing up and rolling, start putting it to use, try to get into the bite. Alright, so a double clinch knot is fairly easy. What we're going to do is we're going to take our main line and we are going to make a loop, just like this. Leave about, 6-8 inches of what will be your tag. Alright, now we're going to take our loop and we are going to send it through the main line end of our barrel swivel, like so. Now we are going to take this loop end, which is going to be our tag, and we are going to wrap it up around both lines. This is the little tag end that runs up the main line. This is your main line. We're going to run this loop up there and we're going to wrap it around it 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Any more than 3 times and you're going to have line warping. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pass our tag loop back through that little pinch point loop right there, and we will start pulling down on it. So we're at this point. We have a nice figure 8 style loop and we're ready to form the clinch knot with it. So you want to do this in one quick pull so that you don't get any line warping. So you just hold this out here and you pull down on it, and that's it. You're done. You have a double clinch knot. Now you take a cutting tool and you cut off your tag. You cut off your other mainline tag. You're good to go. That ain't going nowhere. You can high-speed troll with this all day long. It's a solid knot. That's the only knot I like to use with 50-pound test. Alright, and so there you have it. You are fully rigged up, ready to go. Lock it in with a lure, get up and running, see if you can get into the bite. This setup can handle some of the titans of the sea. Anything from marlin and wahoo to giant mahi, big tuna, whatever you might want to go after with, this sort of setup is going to get it done for you. Okay, so like I said, now that you're all rigged up, you can go on and troll lures like this, like marlin lures. Hooked up 150-pound test. High-speed trolling from marlin, doing, 14, 16 knots. Islander with a 12-inch skirt, double hook 11-0 setup, good to go. You can also pull around deep diving plugs, trolling around for those giant wahoo. You can high-speed troll with these too. You can also hook on a nice cigar weight, and then put on about a 35-foot leader and go, high-speed trolling for wahoo with lures like this, Islander combos, dark ones, looking for those giant wahoo. And of course, you'll be able to troll around things like this too, which is your Zuri Bonitas. High-speed trolling. Again, looking for those giant fish like wahoo, tuna, big giant mahi-mahi, marlin, whatever's going to come around and bite. this is the gear you need to go after these giant titans of the sea. Alright folks, that about does it for this episode. Hope you had fun, hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned a little bit about how to set up and rig up big game fishing rod and reel. Till next time, South Florida saltwater fishing, going wherever the cool wind takes us.